check them out. So I've already removed the Voyager camera from the Hitch view on the truck, and you can see here I had to fabricate a bracket for the new camera because it mounts slightly differently. So here's the new bracket I've fabricated and mounted, and I've already gone ahead and mounted the CA109 here on that bracket for the Hitch view. As I mentioned before, the only thing that is required to hook up these cameras is 12-volt power. So I've ran a wire from the dash of the truck from a switch all the way to the back so that I can turn the camera on and off. All right, kind of like that. This is the adjustability I was talking about. So you can adjust this view. We'll probably leave it about like that. I might have to notch it down one to see the pin, but we can adjust that later. Got the little antenna. Make sure it's good and tight. And it looks kind of like that. There's my grommet. And I can unplug this camera and pull it off anytime. I've also already removed the backup camera from the RV, and we're going to be replacing it with the CA613 camera out of this kit, and we're going to also be installing the extender. And they've got this wired into the park lights, so when I turn my park lights on I get power. So I'm going to pull this light out and see if I can hook my new one up the same way. Okay, so here's where they spliced into this light right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these wires. I'm going to splice into these wires with my new one, and then this old camera will still be functional for someone else and they can hook it up the same way. Okay, so I cleaned the surface and I put some butyl tape. This is our new bracket, and I'm able to use the same 4 holes. So I'm just going to go right back in to where the other one was mounted. I ran my power wire in where the old grommet was and reconnected it to the existing wire for the old camera. Now if you're installing this camera for the first time, you can do the same thing. You can splice into the wires on the park light, provide 12 volts that way, or you can run from a different 12-volt source. I'm going to go ahead and push all this back in here. I'm going to reinstall my light, and then we're going to go up on the roof and install the rest of the extension piece for this camera. It mounted pretty well. I've got it all sealed up, so I think we're good to go. Okay, so here's my 2 wires coming up from my camera. So this is power that we wired into the light, and this is the actual camera connection that we're going to connect to the extended transmitter. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this grommet because I don't need it for my application. So I just cut it and take it off, and then we're going to get our Y adapter. Now this is power, so this locks in, twist it and turn, and that locks in with an O-ring, and then our camera plugs into here. And then they gave us a simple little boot to slide down over it to protect it from the elements. I'm going to go ahead and put a zip tie right here just to hold these wires good and kind of keep them together. Then I'm going to use one of their little standoffs here on the edge. These are pretty neat because they lock and you can unlock them, so you can see that they lock. And then I got a little acetone, and very carefully I'm going to clean the spot on the roof to stick this to. Now this right here is not a roof repair. This is actually a piece of Eternabond tape I used to hold down a wire that used to come across here that I've eliminated. I'm going to put this right here. You can see how that cleans. Then we'll peel off the backing and we'll stick it down just like that. Okay, now we're going to run extension here, and I'm going to run it all along the side, and we're going to run it up the roof. Now this is the extension wire, 12 meters. So we're going to hook it and we're going to run it and see how far it goes, and then we'll install this repeater on the very end of the wire. Now you can see this cord runs clear up to the front of the RV here. So I'm going to go ahead and mount my repeater, something like that. Get it connected as well. There we go. So I think I'm going to mount that right about there. Now, one cool thing about this repeater, it does have a button on the side to sync it if you ever have to sync it. So we'll see how well they read each other once we get it all hooked up. But I think that's where I'm going to mount it, and I'm just going to use that double-sided tape, and I'm going to stick it down right there, and then I'm going to go back through all the way down and put those little clips on. So let me get that going. So I had enough of these little clips to go about every, I don't know, 30 inches or so, maybe a little closer. All right, so I've cleaned the roof here, applied this VHB tape patch, and that's where I'm going to put my repeater, and I cleaned the back of it as well. So just peel this off. There we go, and stick the repeater there and give it a little pressure, and it'll stick, and it shouldn't come off. Make sure our antenna's tight. There we go. And then I've completed cleaning and attaching all the way down the roof, as you can see. So this part of the job is done. Now it's time